apparently being considered for, among other posts, Treasury Secretary. He's a young guy. Congressman, good to have you.
Hey, Neil. Thanks for having me today.
Well, that's an honor to be even thought of in that pool for a cabinet position. Would you be interested?
Well, if I could, please, if you'd allow this departure, since it is Veterans Day, as an elected official, as the father of 2 teenagers, any veteran within earshot, thank you, thank you, thank you for what you do for freedom, our safety, our security. I just needed to say that. So, listen, Neil, the phone hasn't rung in my office. If it does, I'll clearly take the call. I'm very excited about the President-elect's economic agenda, the thought of passing fundamental tax reform, something that's built for growth, built for simplicity, makes the IRS accountable. You know, I've shared with Donald Trump before plans that we had put forth in our committee for getting rid of Dodd-Frank. He wants to get rid of Dodd-Frank. I'm very excited about that. Holding the unaccountable bureaucracy accountable. They have way too much discretionary power. They're harming the economy. So I'm excited about the President-elect's agenda. You know, right now I'm in a pretty good position to help that agenda, but if they wanted to talk to me about something else, again, I'd certainly take the call, have the conversation.
Wouldn't that be something if, like, your wife told you, hey, it's President-elect Trump on the phone, I'm not here, I'm not here. So obviously you take the call. But, you know,
I'd take the call.
I thought when I heard your name mentioned for this, and that it could be a very smart choice. I'm not trying to blow you smoke, in that you know how to get stuff done in the House, and that's important. This is, you know, even though Republicans, you know, have a more of a comfortable majority there than they certainly do out in the Senate, that these kind of policies, tax policies, you know, percolate first in the House, and getting them through that and in a form that jives with what they want to do in the Senate, what they want to do at the White House, you're pretty well schooled in that, and that might be the reasons behind you being on this short list, if not the list for it. What do you think of that?
Neil, the only short list that counts is Donald Trump's short list, and he may be the only person who knows who's on that list.
Well, they leak
yes,
this stuff out, I think, Congressman, for a reason. Well, I'm not smart enough to know why, but I could see why in this case they would want to include someone who knows the House ropes and has been very good at doing this in the past, because that's what you would need in a Treasury Secretary that a Wall Street guy would not bring you.
Well, I would say this about Donald Trump. Clearly, for example, when he reached out to Mike Pence to be his running mate, he chose somebody who could take his vision, his passion, and take it to Capitol Hill, where ultimately it has to be reduced down to a policy, to legislative language, and then to get through the congressional process. You know, clearly that's an advantage I have as well, now having served a couple of terms as chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, and we've passed fundamental housing reform out of the committee, Federal Reserve reform, and most recently the legislation that I have had a chance to brief President-elect Trump on now months ago, and that is our legislation to effectively repeal and replace Dodd-Frank. So again, I hope I can help the President as chairman of the House Financial Services Committee. If they're interested in talking about something else, again, I will certainly answer the telephone.
All right, I'm sure you would. Finally, I do want to get your thoughts on these protests that have been going on. And the pressure that Donald Trump's been under, many in the media saying you got to say something. And, you know, I'm not the brightest bulb, Congressman, but doesn't the president have to say something? I mean, Donald Trump doesn't take over until January 20th. This is happening under this president.
Yeah. Well, again, Donald Trump is the president-elect. He is not the president. So on the one hand, obviously, we know our First Amendment is sacrosanct, the freedom of speech, the right to petition your government for the redress of grievances enshrined in the Constitution. Nowhere will you see the right to riot, to destroy private property. And, you know, just the hatred that is being spewed in the streets. The bottom line is, I wasn't happy 8 years ago at an election, but democracy has worked. And frankly, I think recently President Obama, Secretary Clinton, and President-elect Trump have set the perfect tone. And so it's just really, really embarrassing and tragic that these people would be doing this. I have no doubt they should be passionate, they should stand by their beliefs, but this rioting is absolutely inexcusable and should not happen in our republic.
All right, sir, thank you very, very much. Good talking to you again. Jeb Hensarling, the fine state of Texas.